Hello, in this lesson we're going to be going over Chapter 2 for Microsoft Word. So just like Chapter 1, we're still using Word 2016, and this time we're going to be creating a research paper that has references and sources. So along with setting up our research paper, we're also going to be learning how to use a few of the editing tools that are available in Word that you may or may not already know how to do. So to give you a preview of what it's going to look like, you can look at page, looks like it's WD 59. You can see here we're going to be creating a 2-page research paper along with a works cited page. Now in MLA, we're going to be formatting this MLA style, which is how most of your instructors are going to want your papers formatted. So we're always going to have 12-point font, Times New Roman. Everything's going to be double spaced. We're going to have 1-inch margins on all 4 sides. We will be indenting the first line of each paragraph 1/2 inch. We will be inserting a header with your last name and page number. We will have citations. The in-text citations here will be inserting a footnote. We'll do our works cited page, which will format all for us. We will not have to actually type this into the works cited page. Word's going to automatically do it for us. We will also be doing a word count. I'll show you how to do a screenshot, and then I'll show you some other editing features that you might find helpful. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to Blackboard and you're going to want to download some files. I have typed most of this research paper for you. I know it's really short anyway, but I went ahead and typed some for you. So if you go ahead and download the files SAFE1, SAFE2, and SAFE3 and put those somewhere where you can find those, because we're going to be inserting those so we don't have to type them, but if you choose to type them, you can do that too, either way. So I'm going to go back here. And we are ready to go ahead and open up Word. Oh, I still have my last file open. So I'm going to do a new file this time. Again, if you just open this, we're doing a new blank document. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And here we are on our blank piece of paper. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to be typing in a header. A header prints at the top of every page. A footer, if your teacher ever asks for a footer, that's going to print at the bottom of every page. But we're doing a header. So 2 ways to get there. You can go to Insert. My computer was sleeping a little bit. And right here is Header. And it's going to take you, we're just going to do a blank one. It'll take you up to the top. The other way you could have done there is just, I'll show you real quick. If I was down here in the bottom of my paper, we had just opened this. All I would have to do is come up to the header part and click, and it's going to put me in the header. So I know that my header is going to be right aligned, so I can go to my Home tab and I can press the Right Align button, or I can press Control-R for Right Align. It's going to contain my last name, so you will be typing your last name space and then the page number. Now, do not type the page 1, because if you type page 1 here, everything you put in the header is going to be the same on every page. So that means page 2 and 3 would also be numbered page 1. So we're going to get Word to number our pages for us. So since we're in the header, we have this new tab called the Design tab. I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to go to somewhere here. Right here it is, page number. And I'm just going to do current position plain. So now I've got my page number and my last name. Now I just said a few minutes ago that your header, that all of your MLA paper needs to be Times New Roman 12. So I'm just going to highlight all that, go to my Home tab, and go ahead and make it Times New Roman 12, so that it's there. Okay, so my header is going to print with the page numbers on every page. It's going to print about 1/2 inch from the top of the actual piece of paper. To get out of the header, I can actually, on my Design tab, I can close the header footer here, or I can just come down here and double click, and it brings me down into the body of my paper. So that was the header. Now we're going to type the heading. The heading is what is required on a lot of research papers. It has your name, your instructor's name, the date, and the course. So we could type our name, but what I want to show you how to do first is set your name up into AutoCorrect so you never have to type your name. This will be very helpful for those of you who have very long names. So to do that, we're going to go to File, and we're going to go down to Options all the way at the very bottom corner. And it's under Proofing. So we're going to go to the Proofing tab over here and AutoCorrect Options. This is something besides for your name. You might want to, if you work somewhere like, or maybe you type Milan C2 High School a lot, you might want to add Milan C2 High School in here so you never have to type it. Something like that. So I'm going to replace, I'm just going to type my initials. You can see I've already got this set up, but you can do this with yours. So just type your initials. If you have common initials, like if your initials spell a word like at, so your initials are AT, you're probably going to want to use a middle initial with that. Otherwise, every time you type the word at, it's going to insert it with your name. So then replace with what? I will be replacing that with my name. So I just type that in here. And you can see there's other things in here. These are like your commonly misspelled words that Word will automatically correct for you. If there's something that you miss, you know that you type wrong a lot of times, go ahead and add it in here. So if there's something you know you're always hitting the wrong button for, or you just misspell it all the time, go ahead and add it so that it's automatically corrected for you. So I can go ahead and hit, at this point you would hit OK because mine's already in there. I can just do replace. It says it's already there. Do you want to redefine it? Yeah. Okay. And OK, and OK, and we're back here. So now all you have to do is type your initials, and you can hit the space bar or the enter bar, and your name should fill in for you. I'm going to press enter. On the next line, we're going to go ahead and put your instructor's name. So you're going to put Mrs. Thurlow. Then we're going to put the course. This is computer applications. And the date. So for the date, you can either type in the date, or I'm going to show you up here. We can go to insert, and we're going to come over here, and it looks it's in the text group, and it looks kind of like a calendar on mine. It may look a little bit different on yours. So I'm going to do insert date and time. Here's some different formats you can choose. So depending on how your instructor likes to have things formatted, we're going to follow the books formatting, which is the month, day, year. I know some instructors prefer the day, month, and then the year. So you can pick the one you want. Down here, update automatically. This is used for, so if you're going to start your paper today, but you're not going to finish it today, you could actually check mark this, and then every time you come into your paper, it's going to change the date for you so that you have the current date. So it's up to you whether you want to turn that on or not. And you can actually set your date format for a default if you want to. You can set it as the default. So I'm going to hit OK. Oops. Yes, I should have pressed enter first. Okay. The other thing I want to show you, if you don't do it that way and you just start typing. Oh, I went too far. If I start typing January, it says, are you trying to type the word January? If so, press enter. I am. I press space and it says, are you wanting to put in the whole date? Well, I am. So I can press enter again. So there's two different ways that you can insert the date. Okay. I already said everything needs to be Times New Roman 12 point. Well, whenever I came out of my header, which I had formatted, it did not format my paper for me in that formatting. So I'm just going to highlight everything again, and I'm going to change it to Times New Roman. The computer's running a little bit slow. Size 12, so that we got that. While I'm here, let's go ahead and set up the spacing, because I said everything needs to be double spaced. So in your paragraph group, you're going to come over here and hit the button, and we want everything to be 2.0. That's double space. I also want to click this again, and these both should say add space before paragraph. If one says remove space before or after paragraph, we need to click on that because it's adding extra space after paragraphs. That's what Word does by default. So we want to remove those spaces after paragraphs. That's going to have us now. We are now Times New Roman, size 12. We are double spaced, and we have removed all the spacing after paragraph. Now we're going to want our entire paper to be like this. So up here at the top, I don't know if you've ever used the style area, but we can actually update our style. So if I just right click on normal, and I can actually click on modify, or I can do update normal to match the selection. So modify would open it up and allow me to make those changes there. But since we've already made all the changes, we just need the normal to always be formatted like what we have highlighted. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that one. So now that is updated. Oh, and it actually moved my header over. I did not intend for it to do that. So I'm going to go back and put that the way we want it. Okay. So going to the next line, when you are typing your paper, we're ready to do the title. You do not do anything fancy with the title except for centering it. It is not bigger. It is not bold. You don't put extra spaces before or after it. So we do want to center our title. So the shortcut for centering, of course, on your home tab, you can always hit the center button, but the shortcut is Control E. If you get into the habit of doing these shortcuts, it's going to make things handy for you. And we're going to type in the title, which is Safely Using Headphones and Earbuds. And I'm going to press enter. It's wanting to go ahead and center the next thing for me, and we're actually ready to start typing our paper. So I do not want that centered. I want it left aligned. So I'm going to press Control L. I could also come up here and hit the left align button. We're now ready to start typing our paragraphs. Now I said before that all of our paragraphs need to be indented. So there's two ways to do that. One, if I come up here and drag the first line indent over, it's going to indent the first line 1/2 inch. But because we want to do this, and of course you can always hit tab on your keyboard, but because we want every paragraph indented, what I'm going to do is come over here to my paragraph launcher button, click on it, and where it says indentation, left, right, and special, I'm going to click on special, and I want first line, and it's going to indent it by 1/2 inch. Now you saw there's another one called hanging indent, and we're going to, we use the hanging indent whenever we want to format our works cited page. However, because we're using Word and we're going to set this up correctly, we're not going to have to come back in here and hit hanging indent because it's going to automatically do that for us. So we want first line indent of 1/2 inch, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. You can see here it's automatically moved me over to indent my paragraph. Now make sure that whenever you're typing your heading information and your title, that first line indent is not on, okay? Because we do not, if you have your first line indent on and it's set over here, it's going to be centering from this part to here, and we want it actually centered across the whole paper, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and type the first sentence that begins with people often listen. Okay. As you're typing that, if you need to look at the book instead, it's on WD page 59. That may make it easier for you to type from. If you've got the digital version, if you want to print that out or open that on another screen on your Chromebook, you are welcome to do so. So at this point, you could continue typing, but I told you that I had already typed the paper for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to use those files that you have downloaded. Now there's a couple ways you can do it. You can open up the file that says Safe One, but you don't have to. So if you open it up, you would do copy pastes, which a lot of people do. But let me show you a tool that's going to save you a couple of steps that you may not have ever used before. So what I'm going to do is I want to insert, and I'm going to be inserting text, and I'm going to insert an object. I'm going to come over here to text group, hit object, and it is text from a file. And it's going to say, okay, you want to insert text from a file. What file are you wanting to insert text from? So at this point, I have to find my file. So hopefully you have put yours where to get to it. Okay, once you have found your file, just go ahead and click on the check mark and hit insert, and it should bring over all of the text for you that is already typed. Now you might want to double check, make sure everything came across Times New Roman size 12, it's double spaced, and your next paragraph should have automatically indented for you. Okay, so at this point I have stopped after the word volume, and you'll also notice there's no punctuation there. And that is because a lot of times whenever you're writing a paper, this is not just all your thoughts. Usually you have to use outside sources and information, and when you do that, you're going to need to cite those sources. So we'll be using the Works Cited page at the end, but we're going to use what's called in-text citation or parenthetical in-text citation, which means we want to know exactly how did we learn about this information? Who did this come from? So we want to give them credit where we found their information. So after the word volume, I'm going to hit the space bar, and I'm ready to insert my citation here. Now I could just type it, but the way I'm going to show you how to do it is going to make Word create your Works Cited page for you automatically. So up here at the top, I'm going to go to References, and I'm going to make sure my style is MLA. If your style is not MLA, you need to make sure and change that now. So you need to make sure you have MLA for your style. And we're going to go ahead and do insert citation. And it's going to say, do you want to add a new source or a new placeholder? So the difference between the two, a placeholder is just going to go ahead and put in the author's last name at this point. We're not going to skip that step because it's kind of like doing things twice. So we're just going to go ahead and add a new source. And at this point, you're going to need to type in the information from where the source came from. In the book, if you want to look at that, it's on page WD40. Your book's going to tell you that information. So this is an article and a periodical. Now make sure whenever you go down through here that you pick the correct ones. You can see here where it does scroll up to books. So make sure if it's a book, you don't click book selection. But this one is an article and a periodical. By clicking on the type of source, it's actually going to change your fields that you click into. We're going to type the author. We begin with the author's last name and then their first name. So it's last name, comma, first name, and then their middle name. Okay, the title of the book. And if you need to pause so that if you type a little bit slower, you are welcome to pause me as you go. Okay, the periodical title, that's going to be the name of the magazine, was Technology and Trends Today. Okay, tab, this is the year it was published. It was published in 2017, and the month was August. When you type in the month, you do abbreviate and add a period. The day, we don't know what day, so we're going to skip that. We don't know what page, or actually, this didn't have page numbers because it was electronically, it was on the internet. So I'm going to put in period space PAG period to abbreviate no page. I know that doesn't make sense because we could have just typed the O and the E, but MLA format has us type in period space PAG period. And the medium, this is how did you find it? Was this print? Was it web? What was it? So this is web, so I'm going to type web. Now, if you're not finding all the fields, because this does not show all the fields, I can hit the button here that says show all bibliography fields. And it's going to bring up some more. When I do that, the ones with the red asterisk, typically those things mean required. Now, this does not necessarily mean required because I can leave the day blank. If I don't know the day, I leave it blank. But what it does do is it tells you things that are recommended. So if you have that information, go ahead and put it in there. I'm going to scroll to the bottom because I need to know when did I access this information? Because things on the web change all the time. My instructor wants to know, well, when did you find this information? So I'm going to go to the year accessed, which is 2017. The month was October, and the day was the 3rd. Okay. And then that should fill in everything that I have for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. You'll notice that in your paper, it's going to put the author's last name in parentheses. You always need to follow that up with punctuation. So the citation will go before the punctuation. So I will need to type my period. And then if you ever get out of this accidentally, so if I would have typed enter and I wasn't done editing that source, I can always just right click and do edit source, it's going to open that box back up for me. The other way I can do that is under my references, I can do manage sources, and I should be able to find it here. I can click here and go ahead and edit that source from that away. It's going to take me back into the same exact place. Okay, so back to our paper. We have typed the word to. Okay, so we are ready to insert or continue typing. So the properly designed headphones, again, this has been typed for you. So I'm going to go to my insert tab over here to the text group. I want text from file, click on it. It's going to open it back up. And hopefully if you're still working on the same day, your computer remembers where you looked last time and you don't have to go hunting for it. This one's going to be safe to, and hit insert. And it should go ahead and finish filling in the rest of that paragraph for me. So I'm after the word technology. Again, double check, make sure your formatting is okay. You see what it did here to me though? It like took off the indent at this point. So at this point, I could come up here on my home tab, I could come back to my paragraph group to re-indent that paragraph, or I could just drag that over. I'm not sure why, but sometimes Word moves things and sometimes it doesn't. So with the copying and pasting on your formatting, sometimes you have to double check that. Okay, so I've done technology. Oh, I want to stay right there beside it. You'll see that this one does have a period, but at this point I want to insert a footnote. MLA uses a footnote, which is where it's going to put that little number 1 here. If I still have this open, I can show you back here in the book. Let me pull this up for a second. To show you what it is I was talking about. Okay, right here. Let's see if I can turn the spotlight on. Okay, right here, you see that little number 1? We are going to be inserting a footnote, and that little number 1 is going to refer to the footnote that goes down here at the bottom of the page. So we are not going to type the superscripted number 1. We're actually going to instruct Word to insert that for us. So I'm going to go back to my document. So here, right after the period, no space after the period, I'm going to again go to my References tab. I'm going to go to Insert Footnote. Now there is EndNote. An EndNote will go at the end of the paper. We want a footnote. A footnote will go at the bottom of the page. So we're going to do Insert Footnote. You'll see it inserted the little number 1 for us. It also brought us all the way down here to the bottom of the paper. So we are going to go ahead and we have to type this in here automatically, or we have to type it in. I did not type it for you. It's on page 83 in your textbook if you need to look at that. Otherwise, you can just see what I have typed. And you can pause this as I type it. You can pause this so that you can get it all typed in. And I'm going to press the space bar. Okay, you can see here I've got a typo, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. That was earbuds. I press space because we are going to again have to insert our citation because we did not know this automatically. This was said by Gupta and Pedro. They helped us out with this information. So we need to give them credit for that. So after the S, I'm going to press the space bar. Again, just like before, I'm going to be on my References tab, Insert Citation. And you can see here, if this was said by Mingza Lin Tu, that source is already in here, so I could have just clicked on it. However, this was said by Gupta and Pedro, so I'm going to do add new source. It's going to bring it up. This information, I'm going to have to put in the information about where I have found this. So if you're following along in the book, you're going to find this on page WD 87, the information, or you can follow what I put. So this one comes from a book. Again, make sure you select book, not book selection. This one has two authors. So whenever you do two authors, you actually have to put a semicolon between them. The first one's formatted with the last name first. The second one is the first names first. So the easiest way is to come over to edit. I'm going to enter in my first author's name, which is Gupta. First name is Elena. And then Maya is her middle name. I'll hit add. And then I can insert my next author, whose last name is Pedro. Okay, so I filled in last, first, and middle name and hit add. So I've got my two authors here. I hit OK. It's going to now format these. So the first one was last name was first, then the semicolon. Okay, and then actually, I guess they've changed it. And so the second one is also the last name was first. That's okay. However it formats it for you. I'm going to go ahead and continue adding in the information that I know. So looks like the title of the book was Hearing Protection Methods. The year that this was published was in 2017. The city was Orlando. Usually if it's a book, it has a publishing city. The publisher was Palm Press. And the medium is going to be print. Okay. If I had more information, I could always do the show all bibliography fields and fill in the rest of it. However, that is all I know, so I cannot fill anything else in. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. It's going to put that in for me. I'm going to hit my period. But now look at this. So I said that Gupta and Pedro stated this already, so I don't need the author's last names here because I already know who said it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that. Sorry. And hit the little arrow, and I'm going to edit the citation. The citation is the part that is actually printed on your paper. So I actually want to show what pages this name came from. It came from page 75 through 78. So I'm going to type that in, and then I'm going to go ahead and suppress all three of these just so that nothing else shows up because all I want is the page numbers. So I'm going to press OK. Now I have page 75 through 78. Now, if you remember correctly, I said that everything in our MLA paper is going to be Times New Roman, size 12, double spaced. This is not. So what I'm going to do is I actually want to set up a style for this. So every time we insert a footnote, we always want it set up correctly. So I'm going to go back to my home tab. Up here we have our styles, and we're going to set up a style that will format this the way it should be. So I'm going to highlight that information, and I'm going to right click on it, and I can choose style. Okay, so I'm going to be creating a new style. So I'm going to hit new, and the style name, I want you to put your last name and then put MLA Footnote. Okay, so we have MLA, your last name, MLA Footnote is the style. Okay, we want to make sure it is Times New Roman, size 12. We also want to make sure our spacing is going to be double spaced. So I'm going to actually hit the this button here. Oh, wait, wrong button. Take that back. Because right now down here it shows me it's 12 point, Times New Roman 12. Oh, here's my double space. This one here. If you click on the button, because it doesn't highlight it, it doesn't pop up and tell you what it is, but down here at the bottom, you can see that this added double. Okay, I also want to make sure there is no spacing after my paragraph, so I'm going to click this button here a couple times. If I click this one, you'll see that it says before is 6 and after is 6. So I want to click this one until all I see is line spacing double and I don't have extra spacing after it. I also want this to be indented like a paragraph indent. So over here where it says automatic, oh wait, that's the color. Don't want to do that one. I'm going to hit format, paragraph, and this is going to also bring up so I could also see my double spacing before. I want this to be a first line indent by half inch and hit OK and OK. And then I'm going to hit apply. So now my footnote is set up correctly. And you can see up here at the top that it's here. So I'm going to go back into this. So I'm going to right click on it and do modify because I want to show you one more thing you can do. Down here at the bottom, you see where it says add to styles gallery. We want to keep that check marked. And we want to uncheck where it says only in this document. No, we want to be able to do new documents. That means that anytime you open a paper on this computer, you should be able to find your new style up here. It should be available in all documents. So you should not have to format your footnote ever again. You can set up styles. You could even set up your MLA style from the beginning and then click on it. And then every paper should be MLA size 12, double spaced for you. But we're going to go ahead and do that and hit OK. So you should be able to find that the next time you do a paper. If you can't, you're going to have to reformat it. Sometimes because of the way our network works, it doesn't always move things over for us. Okay, so we're done with our footnote. We're going to come back up here to the top. Yes, whenever we continue typing, the footnote is going to stay at the bottom of the page. So your next paragraph is going to split around this footnote. And I think we're ready to, it is a new paragraph, so I'm going to press enter. It should have indented for me. And I'm ready to insert new text. So I think this is typed for you. So if you go to insert, text from file, this time we're inserting safe 3 and hit insert. We'll just double check, make sure it starts at the volume level. Okay, perfect. And you'll see this paragraph did split around the footnote. That is what it should be doing. Okay, so after the word volume, we are going to be inserting another citation. Make sure I've got everything here. Okay, listening at only 30% maximum. Okay, so after volume, I'm going to hit the space bar. I'm ready to insert my next reference. So I'm going to go to references again. And then I'm going to go to insert citation. You can see here's the two we've already used. I'm going to be adding a new source. So let's just say I didn't have the information about Chamberlain at this time. I don't have my source with me. So I could actually come down here to the bottom and I could just type in, I knew the last name, the author's last name was Chamberlain. I could actually just tag that, come down here to the tag name, and maybe I just type Chamberlain. And it's going to make you put a number after it to save it. So I'm just going to say Chamberlain 1, or maybe I added the paragraph number it came from so I could go back and find it later. I could do that and I could hit OK. It's going to go ahead and insert Chamberlain for me. But we do have our source. That's in case you don't have your source information with you at the time. You can go ahead and tag it so that then you can come back in later and find it. Remember to find it later. You go to Manage Sources or just come down here, click, and do Edit Source. So I'm going to bring that up because we do have our information about Chamberlain. Chamberlain is a website. I'm going to make sure I find a website. You can scroll down if you don't see it. Last name is Chamberlain, comma, first name Megan, middle name Lynn is the author. The name of the web page is going to be Understanding How Volume Levels Affect Hearing. And the production company, we know the production company, however, it's not asking for it. So I'm going to show all bibliography fields. And then I can have my production company down here is Course Technology. And the year it was accessed. So year accessed, this is the year published. This is not what I'm wanting. I want the year accessed. So I'm going to come down to year accessed was 2017. It was September. So I abbreviate SEPT period. And the day was the 16th. And the medium was from, if I can find medium, it should be here somewhere. Medium is web. Okay. I have that information. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I said, now because I have done this paper several times, or because we had already set up Chamberlain, it's saying the source already exists in our master list and our current document. Do you want to update both lists with these? You're going to hit yes. So anytime you use Chamberlain, it is updated. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add our punctuation after our citation. Press enter. We are ready to type our final paragraph, and this one I'm going to let you type. It is not already set up for you. So go ahead and type that. If you need to see it, you can look at page 94 in your textbook. I told you my word has seemed to update, so make sure you go back in and correct any misspelled words or anything that was underlined in red. So if you notice here in my updated word, whenever I right click on the misspelled word, instead of it just giving me choices here, it's actually giving me kind of like what the word means, or maybe some synonyms for that. So that's kind of interesting. So I can actually add it to AutoCorrect at this time or read the word aloud to see how it's actually pronounced. So that's kind of interesting. That's new. If the word is spelled correctly, for example, if it always counts your name wrong, you can tell it to add it to the dictionary. If this is your personal computer, if not, you can hit ignore all. So for example, if it was underlining a person's last name and that was correct, you could tell it to ignore it. So make sure you get all those corrected. That is the end of our paper. So you notice here that it did a page break. So it went from page 1 to page 2. Some things to double check. Make sure your heading should have come across with your last name and page number 2. If this came across as also page number 1, chances are you did not insert the page number. You just typed a page 1. And in that case, every page is going to be page number 1. Yours may have split a little bit differently than mine. That's okay. The other thing you want to make sure that you can do is here where you see where it's hide white space, you can double click that if you want to put it all together. However, to me, with having the footnote there, it makes it a little bit harder to read. So you can turn that on and off. It's just the margins on your screen. It will not affect how it prints. And when we broke the page automatically, that's called an automatic page break. It's also called a soft page break. So whenever it does it automatically, that's a soft page break. We are at the end of our paper, and we are actually ready to do our works cited page. So we are ready to insert a hard page break. So I'm just going to go ahead. There's a couple ways you can do it. Insert page break here. Or you can press Control Enter on your keyboard, and that's going to take me down to page 3. And we haven't saved this yet, so we should probably do that. So I'm going to go File, Save. Make sure you know where you're saving it to. Oh, and I just froze at my computer. Okay, it came back. Yes, it's important to save oftenly. We should have oftenly. It's important to save often. We probably should have saved it a little bit more than we did. Okay, so I'm going to name this one, because this is Word, I'm going to name it WD. This is chapter 2, so I'm going to type chapter 2, or number 2 after that one. And this one is called, the name of our paper is what I think we should call this one, which was called Safely Using Headphones. So I'm just going to put Safely. And again, put your initials after that one. So it should be WD2 for Word Chapter 2, Safely, which will cue me into what the assignment is, and then your initials, and hit Save. Okay. Coming back here, we are ready to do our work cited page. something students dread. I know I do. However, we've got this set up so Word's going to do it automatically for us. There's just a couple things we need to do. First of all, we have been indenting every line of our paper. Well, this is a title. We're going to type the title Works Cited. So I want to take off that first line indent because I don't want it. And then we're going to center, so Control E, because I don't want this centered from here. I want it centered all the way from the left margin. And we're going to type Works Cited. Sometimes they're called bibliographies, whatever it is, but we're going to type Works Cited, and it is Works with an S because hopefully you have more than one source. And I'm going to press Enter, and then I'm going to left align this, so Control L. Okay, here's where the magic's going to happen. I'm going to go to References. I'm going to go to Bibliography here and click the button. Now, do not click one of these little pretty ones that it's showing you. Those are not formatted correctly for us. We need to go all the way to the tool at the bottom that says Insert Bibliography and click that button. And now it should come across. Double check this, make sure it is Times New Roman, make sure it's size 12. You know, if you click on it and go to your Home tab, you can see it's Times New Roman, it's size 12. Your line spacing is going to be double. You're not going to have any space after the paragraph, so these are both going to say add. And that is our Works Cited page. Now, if you do come up here and need to correct something in this one, you're going to want it to come back down here and actually click on it and update it. So you would need to update your field here. So a couple more things that I want to show you. Oh, also, this is your hanging indent. Hanging indent means it does not indent the first line, it indents every other line after that. So I'm going to press Enter. Those are gray because it is a field. Usually if I click off of it, that goes away. Okay, so it was just selected. That's why it was grayed. There, I'm down below it now. So don't worry about that gray. It should not print like that for you. So I'm going to show you a couple more things. First of all, you may want to know how many words are in your paper. Sometimes professors will tell you I need like a 300-word essay. So down here at the left-hand corner is where you see your word count. So to show me that you know where the word count is, you can click on that and it's actually going to open it up and it's going to give you more information. I've got 3 pages, this many words. Yours may differ a little bit than mine. That is okay. But I need you to do a screenshot of this. So the easiest way to do a screenshot, it's a little bit different on every computer, but you should be using the desktop or a laptop, something with Microsoft Windows on it. So we're actually going to use our snipping tool. You may have to go down and hit the start button here to get to it, but we want to find our snipping tool. The snipping tool is one of my favorite tools on Windows anymore. When you open it up, I've got 2 monitors, so it popped up on the other one. I can come over here, I'm going to hit New, and it's going to allow me to actually drag my box around what I want to do a screenshot of. Okay. At this point, there's some tools I have here. So I can actually highlight that I had this many words maybe. Okay. I've got a pen, so I could actually write on it. So if you click this, you could change it to a different colored pen, whatever you want. So I want you to go ahead maybe and just but write your last name. Just to show that you know how to use the pen. And at this point, you can save this to your computer. So if this is something you were going to insert as an image, but all we're going to do is copy and paste it. So the easiest way is to come here and click the copy the 2 pieces of paper. It is now copied. I can come back to my paper, close my word count, right click, and paste. Okay, I now have my word count in there. You can use your corner sizing handles to adjust that down so it's smaller, so it all fits on the page. The next thing I want to show you is some editing. So sometimes you've typed your paper, you think it's all good. You're editing, you've turned in your rough draft, and there's some things you need to double check on it. So to get home, the easiest way is to press Control Home on your keyboard. The home button is over by your number pad. So Control Home is going to take me all the way to the very beginning of my paper. And at this point, Maybe I have found that I have used the word people a lot. And so I want to change some of those. So the easiest way to do it is up here under editing. I can hit find. The shortcut for that is Control F. And I want to find the word people. I feel like I've used the word people a lot. Oh, I have. I've used the word people 4 times. So maybe I need to pick something other than people. So instead of the word people, what I can do, if I click here, it's going to take me there if I can't find it. So I could right click on it and I could do synonyms. And maybe I'm going to use the word individuals. Okay. I can search for my people again. And maybe I want to come down here. And again, I'm going to use a synonym and change that to a different word. Experts suggest, I don't know, whatever you want to put in there. I could also hit the thesaurus if there's none of those that I really like. And whenever you hit thesaurus, it's going to come up over here. And it's going to give me lots and lots of other suggestions. So I could pick something else. I don't know. Just going to pick one. We'll do individuals again. But just to show you how to insert from the thesaurus, I click the arrow here and I do insert. So now I've replaced both of those. Another thing I can do, I'm going to do Control Home again to go up to the very, very top, is maybe my instructor has said that you need to replace the word person. That's not a very good word. You know how sometimes words make you seem smarter than other words. So I'm going to find person. Oops. See if I have that one in there. Person. Okay. Looks like I've used that twice, but I want to replace it. My instructor said maybe I should use the word individual. So what I'm going to do this time is go up here to replace, and it's going to open me up another box. So find one. I'm going to find the word person and replace with the word individual. I use this a lot. For example, maybe I have misspelled somebody's name throughout a document. So I could find how I had spelled it and replace it with the correct spelling. And I can actually do those all at once, or I can find the next and look at them individually. We're actually just going to replace them all. So person with individual, it says I've made 2 replacements for me. I can close that. That is done. But that works really well if you discovered you've spelled somebody's name wrong, or there's a better way to call something than what you have been saying. Okay. One more thing to show you is I've showed you how you can select a word by double clicking. You can select an entire paragraph by triple clicking. But if you wanted to select one sentence, for example, this sentence I can control and click and it will select one sentence. If I wanted to move this sentence up here, I can drag and drop. So that's called the drag drop method. I'm going to hit undo. You could also right click and cut and then come up here and paste. So I'm looking at this and going, oh, it missed, I have a misspelled word here. Potential loss from, I think that is the use of headphones and earbuds. So again, word check does not check everything perfectly. So you do need to reread this. Make sure that everything makes sense. Make sure all your punctuation is in there good. Double check everything to make sure it's all Times New Roman. Make sure it's all double spaced, size 12, paragraphs are indented, no indenting for titles or for your header information here. Make sure your footnotes correct. Make sure your works cited page came over formatted correctly. So that is all I have for you on this chapter we're doing together. So there are 2 assignments for you to do at the end of this chapter. You're going to be doing, these are at the end of the chapter. You're going to be doing Lab 1, which you can find on WD 116. And that is a research paper called Wearable Devices. And then you're going to be doing Lab 2, which is called 2-step verification. So those are your 2 assignments for these. Again, double check, make sure you have things formatted. Look at the look at your scoring guide, because that's what I'm going to be using to grade your assignments. Everything should get 100%. You can score it yourself. I've also added for you an MLA checklist, so you can actually download that, save that for yourself, because that's going to come in handy with other classes. It's just kind of a basic, make sure your MLA paper is formatted like this kind of thing. So that is all for this chapter. If you have any questions, please ask.